Yeah. I hope that one should be recording. So let me check on something small here. It's okay, still okay. So, and I hope you guys can see my screen. Kindly confirm if you can see my screen before we lose you. Oh yeah, thank you. So, we are going to use Replit. Replit is a platform just like Visual Studio Code, but it has more features. You know, Visual Studio Code is where you define your language that you want to use. Is it HTML? Is it CSS? Is it Django? Is it C? Is it Java? All that programming languages you all build everything from scratch, writing the templates, writing the files, and writing everything. But Replit is this platform that gives us that magic power, where we can look for the programming language that we want to use, then use some templates that have already been generated. Then after that, we can actually deploy software directly from Replit, push that code to GitHub directly from Replit, even deployment, even build apps and everything. So that's why we chose to do or to use Replit for this session. So what you do, just go to replit.com. David, you can just type this on the chat for them to see or to click replit.com. Then you log in or you register in case you have not registered. Then the next step is now know what you are doing. We are doing an API. What technologies are we using? We are using Python Django. So that means we can generate template for Django. To generate template for Django is very simple. So far we have covered around 6 lessons to do with Python Django installation, setup, and everything running hello world, so that we have covered in more than 5 lessons. So you can just go and watch those recordings in case you get lost. Why are we using template? Why? What is this settings.py? What is these URLs? What is these views? In case you get lost, you can just revisit the recordings and then you catch up. So what we do, either create a repo, we call it repo, or you just create repo anywhere you want. It's all the same thing. Then after you click, then over here, as you can see, we have the search bar here. Then over here, you can select the programming language that you want. For example, I can select C. You can see we have all these languages. I can, let's see if we have PHP. You can see we have this PHP. We have all these. We have Java. We have all these programming languages like my favorite. Let's see, yes, we have this one over here, so you can just choose any, but in our case we want Django, and Django is just up here, so I'll just click on that Django. Then you see this input field here where we have the title, then just click and type that project name. So our project name, we can give it a API, we can call it API lesson. Let me just use the correct naming convention, API lesson. API lesson 1. You can call it API lesson 1. So then after that, you can actually create that repo. Then we wait for it to create that boilerplate. Just wait for it, and then you can see we have our basic HTML, our basic Django templates with us. So we can see we have our basic Django template that has been generated. Then it's now up to us to use. So where do you get these files? When I close this, I want us first to explore this repo. So we have the console where you can just run your application, you can test. Then you can also see the shell. This is the command line. You can ls and you can see every file you can clear, just the normal command line interface that we have. It's just the same thing that the same commands that you type, still the same commands that you can type over here. Then the other thing that we have is tools. Tools is where you can integrate your program with AI, you can deploy, you can check all those things, you can create docs, you can connect to GitHub, Git, you can use Postgres, you can do everything according to these tools. You can just on your own time explore these tools and you can test all these tools. Then the next thing is our files. See these files over here? Here is where we have our Django project. So our Django project is over here. As you can see, we have our normal manage.py file. We have our normal database. These queries, we have them over here, our normal files. Then we have our Django project as usual. We have them over here. We have our normal URLs. We have our normal settings .py, just the same thing that we used to do. We have all these files with us. So to test, if, as I've said, we have these boilerplates already built for you. Use that template and then you generate that code. So to test if this code is working, you just click on run. Then it should be working like that. Just wait for it to complete its magics. Just wait for it. It has its own sub-browser over here. Then as you can see, we have our Django app and running. Remember the previous ways that we have been doing. We have been doing a lot of work. And here we have our application. So let me see if this URL can work in a different... I don't know if this one will work. Let me see. I'm not sure if this link 1, 2, 3, 4. Just testing 0.02.3.4. That one should be full colon 3000. Yeah. It seems that we can't access that link. Mhm, mhm. Let me see if I can actually move this in a new window by itself. No. Yeah. Seems everything is built the web view. And that means we are not going to access the other parts. It's alone, but I want it to be full screen. Maybe can't be full screen. There's no way we can move this. No, we can just do with the same uh, window. Let me just unfloat and just stick it over there. So we can just work with it like that. We are going to be opening and hiding files so that we see all this window. So if we find something that you're not seeing, you just tell us, we zoom. Mhm. The new tab over here. Oh wow. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. So we, so now we can work with our code on one side so that we can see clearly, and then we still have our output. So thank you. Mhm. Okay. Opening the new tab. Okay. So I want you to be attentive. Let me just kill this project and maybe I want to stop this. So let me just create a new tab of Replit. Go to replit.com like that. API lesson one. Let me delete this so that we can recreate it. Okay. So what you do, I want us to pay attention on this. Click on the create repo or create the repo, any of them, it will work. Then once it pops up, select Django or just search for Django in case you are not seeing your Django, just select for Django. Then over here, give it, you can call it PLP API, something like that. Any project, any name that you want to give your project, then you simply create repo. Once you create that repo, then everything should be working well, or everything should be working perfectly. Then you have your normal files that have been already generated over here. We have our SQL, we have manage.py, we have, when you go to the Django project, you can see we have the settings. We also have the URLs. Um, then we can create our own views. So, so we have said we want to create or we want to use an API. So this API, we are not going to build our own APIs. We have already APIs that are existing, so we need to just use those APIs. So what we do, the first thing first, remember in our previous ways, in the 5 lessons, 6 lessons that we have covered, first thing that we needed to do is creating templates where we are going to create our HTML files. So I'll just go straight to creating index.html, then go straight to creating my document, and then maybe go straight to something else like hello world. just like that. And then I want us for now to ignore this HTML file. So let's forget about that HTML file for a second. We have created our templates, and then these templates is where we are going to write our HTML. Already we know what templates are from the previous five sessions. Something that I want us to create new, we have never created CSS. So I want us also to create that template for CSS. So in CSS, we write static. So these are static files. That doesn't do anything big, just creating the normal things. Styles, we have already learned that in HTML and CSS. That is in web development course. So we know what is a static files. Images are static. They do not have any, or they do not function so much. They are just static. Then inside the static folder, let's create styles.css. Then just prepare that and then leave without anything inside it. So we have created these templates and we have created the static. In case you have created yours and they are failed, maybe you have clicked this and then you came here and created a folder. No, that's not the correct way. Just click on the manage.py. Once you click that manage.py or SQLite, then you can create a folder. You can click create folder or create file depending with what you want to create. So that is the first step. The next step that we are used to do is registering our templates and registering our CSS. So where do we register our HTML and CSS and our templates? We register in our settings. So go to settings and then scroll all the way down to templates. You see these templates here. Then just inside here, this directory is here. Then type base, no, just type base directory like that. But in case you are wondering where are we getting this base directory is this that has already been defined up over here. We have not created this automatically was generated for us to use. So just go here and copy that and just type that name over here to import it or to use it here inside this list. So the next thing maybe we can do is actually also register our CSS. So how do we register our CSS? To register our CSS, we can scroll down in an empty place, like for example here where we see the static URLs. Maybe down here we can register our styles. So what we do to register our styles, we just have to type static files. CSS, these CSS are static files. Static files directories, all the static file directories, register them inside this list. So because as you can see, our static file here, or our static folder, is in the base directory. The base directory is the overall directory or the root file or the root directory. That's what we are calling here the base directory if we interpret it according to this context. So here we are going to go to the base directory, then slash register that static. The static is basically this static. What if we add another maybe something else? Maybe we can have created another something here. Maybe media queries, anything like that. We could have created it or we could have registered it here. So we have registered our static files and we have registered our templates over here. So our CSS and HTML, they have been correctly registered inside our settings. The next thing that we were, someone tell the instructor is teaching beginners. I've said, yes, we understand, but we have already covered around 5 good sessions on introduction to Django, setting up in different ways. So we believe you should have already catched up, you should have already watched the recordings. So in case you are floating at some point, maybe I can repeat, you can tell me to repeat, or you can just revisit the recordings, and most of these things you'll find that we have already covered in around 6 good sessions. So I'm going to repeat just after we are done setting up with this. I'm going to repeat it still later. Question: why are we not registering our templates as base directory templates? We don't need to register that because most of these things have already been defined here. You see here, we have the templates and we have, let me just go back to our settings. You see this path over here. This path has covered most of the things that we need, or most of these things that we need, they have already been taken care by this simple line of code. That's why we don't need to complicate ourselves and maybe say base directory templates, blah blah blah. That line of code has taken care of most of these things. We just need to import the folder, and then it will import and everything inside that folder. Please repeat the settings. Actually, I can repeat that. The settings, we want to register 2 things, or we want to include 2 things. The static files where we are going to write our styles, CSS, images, everything. We register that inside that. So this one should be a list because we can have a list of files or list of things that we need to register. That's why it needs to be a list. It's not a must that we type it here. You can just type it anywhere, but you can see this code guided us on where the best place that we can fit, or the best place that can fit our static files. This code already gave you more directions. Once you register your CSS, also make sure that when you go to the templates, you see these templates on line 54, we have these directories. In our directories, register anything either that has been named templates inside this base directory. And the base directory, just grab everything and register it inside here. So that was simple, and everything has been taken care by this line of code over here. You have not written this code was automatically generated once we are creating our templates. It says not defined, static files directory is not defined. Maybe you can screenshot, make sure that your static files directory is equal to that list. See this list? Open a list, then just type base directory slash static. Then if you write the whole thing, maybe you tell us if it still says not defined or something. Maybe if it says not defined, maybe you have not created these templates. Not templates, but static folder. Static. Maybe you have not created it, or maybe you are, whatever you are naming here is maybe different from whatever you are writing here. Maybe that's why it's complaining not yet defined. Kindly repeat the process of creating templates. Actually, I can repeat that. So just create a folder. First, before you create that template, click on manage.py. Click this second button here, this second icon for new folder. Then just name it templates, the same way that I've named mine here, templates. Just name it the same way. Then go inside, create, just click here and then you see the first one icon, new file. Then you create our HTML file the normal way that we are used to creating our HTML file. But in case you are having an issue, it's empty and you want to be fast, just type exclamation mark, then press tab, the tab key in your keyboard. Then over here is where we are going to create our normal HTML tags, like this, and say hello, my name is Evans, like that, or you can just type anything. So with that, then we are good to go for the first part. And I hope I've repeated that. Please run yours. Yes, I know. Please run yours. Let's see. Just click the run button. And mine is working. Mine is still working. As you can see, mine is still working well. So in case you are getting those errors, maybe you can share with us. So now I can expand this to new tab. How did we go about that? Where did we go to push that to new tab? Window view, not that one. Change tabs, not that one. Mhm. I'm still wondering what has happened, but let me explain. Oh, I float, then I push this to new tab. Simple. Then once I push that to new tab, now I can close that. Yeah, perfect. So now here is where we are going to edit our code, and then here is where we are going to view. So in case you are wondering how I did it, just click the three buttons here, then float, then you'll be able to see a new tab, and then you'll be able to push that to new tab. So with that said, we have created our HTML is ready, our CSS templates is ready. So our settings, we have registered everything correctly. So the next thing that we need to create is views. So in our views is where we are going to do all the magic things that we want to do. So let's create a new, click the Django project. It should be named that's just exactly as mine, Django project. Then click on new tab, then just create views.py, views.python, enter. Then here is where we are going to create our own views. So as usual, these views that we get, we always have this import, no, from Django.shortcuts, Django dot, yeah, this one you can just press tab to autocomplete. From Django.shortcuts, import, no, why is it behaving like this? Okay, from Django.shortcuts, import render. Then here, just define a function, and as you can see, it has some good autocomplete. Let's see, thank you, like that. You can just use that autocomplete. Then just define a random function name here. Then you pass the request as the parameter. Then you return. And once we return, we want to render what? We want to render the home.html. We can make sure this home.html is actually the same as what we named in our index. So it should be index.html. So just go to your views and then just rename this to index.html like that. And then that one should be working. But before we test it, remember there's one more setup that we need to do. Go to your URLs, then add it here. So what we need to do first is import. You see these views? We need to import these views in our URLs. So we do from everything or from all import let's see, import views, import settings, import URLs, import WSGI. As you can see, this is auto-completing. You see these files: settings, URLs, views, WSGI. All these files is trying to import these files, so we just need to import views, and that's it. The next thing, we need to actually map our views that we have imported over here. So we can just autocomplete and then explain what this code does. So from views dot home, you see this home is this home here. You see this home. The name way this the way it has been named is the way it should be named over here. Then we can just keep the name as still home, and then that one should be working out. So once you test your application at that point, it will fail. So let's see if this, once we reload this, if it will work. Yeah, I know it has failed. It should fail. It's failing because of one thing. You see this index.html. We have just imported this index.html, but maybe the path is wrong. So we want to make sure that the path is right. So just type over here, just go to the correct folder. You know this is inside templates slash index.html. So templates index.html. And then there we have our app up and running. Just like that, and we have our content over there. Any question before we go to the juicy part? Are you using Replit? Yes, we said it's replit.com. Replit.com. Recap on the last part. The last part, yes, yes, David. Mhm. Okay. Let me see if there is any other thing that we are missing. The files in Django are they automatically linked? Not all of them. That's why we are doing the basic setup, creating the templates, registering the templates, then make sure that we set up our views so that we link correctly. Not all of them are registered. We are just provided with the boilerplates for making our work easier. When you go back to the views, then after views, go to the URLs. Yeah. So I'm going to go to my views here. So in my views, let me see if I can zoom further. Yeah, there we have it. So from Django.shortcuts, import render. Then we define a function that we call it home. Then this function is going to take a request. Then that function, it should be returned and then it should render this HTML template. So we are returning the request. Then we're also returning this as a, what do we call it? This template over here. So as you can see, we have a comma. In case yours does it not have a comma, it will complain. So make sure that we have a comma to separate between the two. So have a request. Oh, once I save it, it keeps on running. So have a comma, then add your templates index.html. These templates is this templates folder that we have. The same way it has been named over here, the same way it should be named over here. The same way it has been named over here, index.html, go to template, just name it exactly index.html. That's it for the views. Then for the URLs, what we have added from the boilerplate that you had, you just imported from everything, or from dot. Dot means all. From all, import views. So from everywhere, just import these views. We are importing the views file. Then inside that views, take the path, then go to the views and use exact function that we have defined. That is home. This function is this function here. You see this function name. What if maybe we named it something like John Doe? It should be reflecting something here like views.John Doe or whatever we have given it. Then we can just give it a name and we call it that name, home. Maybe something similar, just to avoid confusion. And that's it for the views and the settings and also the URLs. So we can just get to the juicy part. That is that you cannot import name views. Check if you have named yours correctly. Make sure that yours is imported. Maybe check the spellings if you have just missed spellings. Please app not working after setting URL and the views. Check if you have named everything correctly. Maybe you are just missing some spellings. So, because of interest of time, we are going to quickly use some good APIs over here. So this one I'm going to, oh damn, why is it, how do I, is it possible to remove the autosave? Maybe we can explore that later, but this window is giving us headache. It will give us some serious headache if we don't get careful. We can just minimize it. We can just try to minimize it. So over here, we are going to use our APIs. So we are going to use using APIs. So our first API that we are going to use is using an API that generates a random quote, random image, or a random joke, depending with whatever API data has. So what we want us to understand, we have some three things that we want to understand. In APIs, an API, when you query that data, comes as a form of JSON. So you need to format that JSON and get the exact text or exact thing that you have in that JSON. So JSON means JavaScript object notations. Just a form of we can actually you can create your own that JSON and call it a database kind of thing, but that will be manual. But also the data that you store in database, it's stored in form of JSON. You just grab it as also a format. JSON returns as a form of JSON. So JSON is something that maybe you have been using on daily basis, but you are not aware if that's is JSON. We are going to see an example of that JSON file. So here we want to, maybe we can define a variable and call it a response. Then we are going to use yeah, thank you, we have it. Why is it auto completing? So here we have requests dot get. Get is a method for fetch. This is a fetch method that maybe we want to grab something from database and return it to the front end. We use get. So what do we get? We get the URL for our API. So that's what we actually get. So that's one thing that we can do. So the request here, that means this is a module in Python that we call import requests, like that. So we should import the requests. The requests, you should import the requests and then you use the requests over here. But I'm going to show you something, because as you can see, it's not returning anything valuable, it's failing. I'm going to show you something. Maybe after we are done setting up this, I'm going to show you something. So one thing that we can also define here, we can grab the data in our JSON file. So data is equal to response. You see this response here that we have grabbed, dot JSON. But also if you'd like, you can just dot JSON. You can just grab and then you grab that dot JSON the same way. But I would like just to work on one line to grab something, maybe use another line to grab something different. Then over here, we are going to return. Maybe we can call this results. Results is equal to, maybe now return the data, and then inside that data we can grab a particular thing that we need to grab. Maybe we can grab a text, maybe we can grab an ID of a person, we can grab the age, or we can just grab anything like that. And then we are done setting up our first API like that. So I'm going to explain it again this bit so that we understand. First, we need to import request that will help us grab, or will help us fetch or use this fetch method. So after that, we are going to pass the link, or that API link that we have. Then we are going to return JSON file of that API. So we just want to grab the JSON file. We want to return the JSON file. That's why we are defining another variable. Then we are assigning it response.json. Then this JSON, inside this JSON, maybe you want to grab a specific data or a specific value. That's why we are defining this variable results, or result, because it's a single result. Then we take that data that we have formatted in form of JSON. Then that JSON we grab maybe age, or we grab gender, anything that we want to grab. Once we are done that, then we can actually test our application. But before we test, let's make sure that we use it here as a dictionary. And as you can see, it has auto completed for me. What I've done is actually this thing is so intelligent. It's using Copilot out of the box. So I just need to do this. Just what have I done? Comma. As you can see, we have this suggestion over here, and it exactly matches what I want to use. This result should be named the same as the result. Then this result is the result variable that we have uh, assigned this data over here. So this one should be the result, then this one should be the result. So this result is the same as this result. So one more thing that we need to do. Remember everything in our views. We want to render everything inside here in our HTML. So let's go to our HTML. Then basically generate that code. In case we want to use anything in our views, this is how we do it. Just go to your HTML, then type double curly braces, then the name of that maybe variable that we want to use. We want to use the result. See, this result is the same as this result, then the same as this staged result that we have assigned to this key value pair. So with that, the next thing is actually testing our application. And as you can see, let's wait and see if we get an error. Couldn't reach repo. Let's see. Make sure that the repo is open port. Okay. So let me go back to here and stop my server like that and run it again so that I can get the console, the results in the console. And then my console says no module named requests. That means by the moment we were setting up our Django, our templates, it didn't import everything. It just imported the basic things that must be inside or must be used in our application. So the rest is up to us to import these modules, import these different libraries that we want to use and everything. So what we need to do, the normal way that we have been installing everything in our PowerShell or in our shell. So just go to pip install requests. Requests, not request, not request singular, but requests many requests or plural. After you do this, just type enter and wait for it to install requests. This is a module in Python that we need to use. In JavaScript, this one we call the node modules that we need to import or we need to install for us to run our applications. So with that, our app is now well. It should be actually showing some good results. Because it seems still is failing, we can just stop and we can try to rerun and see if we get anything. See, everything is okay. No bad requests. Go back and see exactly inside. You can see we have this error here. Inside our results, we can't get data code age. So because we don't have age, let's make sure that we grab the exact thing that we need to use. Because in our data, maybe we can get text. Or maybe I can go to this API and actually see the kind of data that we have. We don't have text. We have, for example, we have the ID. We have type. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying JSON file. So JSON file looks like this. We have this as a list, but inside that list we have a different list inside that. So the first one is this one enclosed inside that curly braces. The second one it should be somewhere. First we have this ID, then yeah, we have it. So this one is one up to here. The other one is all the way up to, oh wow, it's long. It should be somehow long. You can just find the end of that thing. So this is what a JSON file looks like. So we want to grab the ID. We also want to grab the URL, or you can just grab anything, for example, like the payload, everything, or maybe something like that. So that's what we want to grab. So we can go back to here and maybe change that from text to ID. And let's see if it still works or it fails. Yeah, still failing. And we need to do something again inside here that we need to grab and maybe index of that ID. Let's see if it will work out. And there we have it. Then this one should be working. Just wait for it to complete the loading. Yeah. As you can see, we have this ID that has been generated. Let's see. Let's reload and see if our app fails or still works correctly. But in the meantime, we can reload this and see if still our app is okay. Any question up to there? Damn. Sorry guys, it seems I was kicked out by my network. So I think I lost you here once I was trying to reload. And maybe if I've lost you here, you see this JSON file. Everything is named, or you remember that we grabbed items in a list. We grab them using an ID. So index, sorry. So we start from index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So what I'm trying to do is go to that API, grab the JSON, then inside that JSON, take everything or the first index of that JSON and then just return the ID like that. And then that's how we manage to return this ID. Just as simple as that. Someone is telling me please go slow. Yes, I'm going to repeat. So let me go to the index.html. I know you want to see what I've done here. So this is what I've done. In case you are wondering what's this, we need to, in case we have a view here and maybe you want to use it, this is how you use it. Use the variable name that we have defined just like this. And then we have our data, we have our results. Yeah, and I want you to see something. I want you to see something. This is generating a random ID. So let's grab something that is common here. Maybe like maybe like repo. We can use repo. That is a repo. We can use something like repo. Where is it? Where's my views? We can just use something like repo because it's something that we have. So let's just reload and see if we get any repo from our GitHub API. As you can see, this repo belongs to Lawrence M. Once we reload, remember that was Lawrence M. Once we reload, let's see, my internet, still Lawrence M. Lawrence M. Maybe, let's see if it's generating something different. Yeah, as you can see now, it has generated another repo for a different person. So that's how you can just work around random things in APIs in working with Django. Maybe now you can tweak this to be um, maybe generating random repositories that you want to use for someone else, or you want just to explore, or you just want to use random quotes. Maybe you are bored at some point, you need to use or you need a motivation. You can just go around and grab a repo, maybe a quote, maybe a motivation, maybe something interesting. You want to work around movies, you want to watch a movie, a random movie. You can create this thing for you to automate all those things instead of maybe going to Netflix and then you grab in, you see this after this movie, you have this after this movie. So instead of having your own catalog, maybe you just want to explore random things, create this, use a movie API. Then once it generates that link, go and search for that movie, or just go to that link and then you watch that good movie that it has been generated. It's not a must that it be a movie. It can be the fun things that we watch on TikTok, doing things. Of course, we have that data online. You can just use that API and then uh, you do that. Maybe you are in a different profession, you would like to automate like the medicine. Of course, you can't like something in medicine. Just go use that API for medicine, generate random facts about medicine, or random tips about medicine, about carpentry, about anything. We have all these APIs available for us to use. For pro tips about cooking, use the API for food cooking. Just search for something random, or you prepare something random, and all that, it will work for you. So before we continue, for the Python Django project, one we are building here, we are not going to build the entire project. We are just showing you how to use maybe more than one API, and already we have used one. Maybe we can add two. Then your assignment will be basically simple. Go to go just search online and maybe use a different API about anything. Then go ahead and style. Maybe this one I've generated as this. I wanted maybe to generate this as a small card. Style this to be a card. Maybe I just want to create an entire application, entire website, basically for using these APIs. Maybe I can create a navigation bar with everything, homepage. Then I can, in the navigation bar, I can say food. I can say something like fashion, I can say something like medicine. I can say something like anything, education, quotes, all those things. Once you click that navigation for medicine, then the data that will be loaded, then it will be some random facts, random tips about medicine. When I go to construction, I get random things, random buildings, random architecture designs, random interior designs for that tab. So if you be that creative, then I know you can stand a chance to win the cash that we have for the hackathon. So for the hackathon, actually this is the theme. The theme is to use an API, then build on top of that API, build whatever you want to build. As long as you have used API, it's not a must that you use our own API that we have provided, but you can just use that API, do whatever you want to use. So the key point is make use of APIs. Make learn how to use these APIs. That's it for using these APIs. So if time allows, we are going to demo another API, but we can ignore using this. Maybe we can use something different, like maybe you can use another API here. We can say example two, then this one should be example one. Maybe you can use example two of maybe create something like we can just say response, and maybe response two we can't name the same way as this one. Maybe we say requests, we need request dot that API, we are going to change that API. We need to get the data, we can just call that data 2. Maybe you can name it whatever you want to name it. Then this response is this response over here. We're just duplicating the same thing. Then we are going to use results. This one is the same as this one. We are just duplicating everything over here. So what we are going to change is this API. So for this API, let me see if I have any interesting API for us to use. Maybe maybe something like this, random image of a random thing. So we want to generate a random image of a dog. So we have this. We want to generate a random image of uh, a dog. So let me just collapse this. No, I can just collapse this way. Yeah, that looks nice. So this is example 2 of using another API. So just go to here. Maybe this one we can try without the first index, and then maybe we grab a text, for example, like that. Or we can grab anything. We can go to this API and actually see what we have in this API. After you just paste that API and you get the JSON of it. So here we have a message, yeah. So the message is actually the HTTP. Then we have a status of success. Oh wow. So that's an example of this API. So we just need to grab the message. You don't need to grab this text. You see this text should be a message. That one should be a message because we want to get this message. You see this key here. The key is the message. We need to grab this message. So with that, now we can actually also map our example 2 inside our dictionary here. So just go to inside your dictionary and type comma, then go to just type results 2, then it has auto completed for me like this. See, results, we have result 2, then we have the results. This one should not be complaining. The line is too long, so we just have to ignore that. So this one should actually be working perfectly. So what we have not done is actually, you see this, we have done result 2. We need also to map this inside here. So we can just copy that and duplicate and then just change this to result 2. Then here I'm just going to add a random text. Then I'm going to say random dog or random you can say random pet. So this one here should be able to produce a result of that random dog. But in case it fails, let's see the error and then we debug from the error. So let's wait for it to reload. Some API require key. How do we go about that? Maybe it depends with how you are using it. Yes, of course, some depends. They need key to use that. Some of the APIs they are just defined. They are APIs to be used that way. So for now, you can just search for these APIs that don't need any uh, any key. Why is the application not loading? We can just stop it. Maybe relearn. Yeah, I see the error is inside here, so we need to fix our code here. This one should not be having this closing mark. Then that one should be well. So wait, it's taking a lot of time. So let's go back here and then uncomment this, and then should be showing the results now. Let's see if it works. It's okay. Yeah, and as you can see, it has generated that image, our image over here, and this is a text of that image. So to make it an image, as usual, we need to use the image. We need to use the image tags like that. Then here for the source, not source but src, for our source should actually be the results too. Should actually be the results too. Then maybe we can give it an alt of a random pet, be something like that. Should be like that. Let's see if it works. So let's wait and see. Yeah, there we have it. We have our image loading. Once we reload, you are going to see another random pet, a random image of a dog. Yeah, there we have our random image of our dog. We can just reload. Just let's wait for it. It's taking its time, and you can see every time it's generating a random dog, a random text over here. So now you can just style this, make it a website, a complete website, then for people to use it. Maybe for people to see random dogs that they can be interested in purchasing, then that's it. And even actually, you can actually create an e-commerce with this. Maybe a random pet or a random thing. Then you just add some buttons here for place an order or inquire more. Maybe once you place that order, it will go to your cart. Then after you add that to your cart, then maybe the owner of that website can inbox you depending with whatever you operations you want to perform with the website. This is another tip of a project that you can use. Actually, something else that you can use, maybe if the Amazon API. Is it Amazon? Yeah, the Amazon API. You can use the Amazon API. Then put a bunch of things like the computers, everything. Once a new every customer comes into your website, maybe they are having a different experience. Whatever I'm seeing, maybe you are not seeing the same thing because we have not, or we are not running the same time. So it's generating random computers in for your customers. Then now they can purchase that computer, or they can just do whatever that they want, or do whatever, or purchase a book, everything. So that's using this API, these random APIs. Actually, you can actually use these random APIs and then make money from them if you use them correctly and also wisely. Any question before we go to the final part, that is adding and styling our page? Anyone would like to speak? I unmute them. Just raise up your hand. Only two people? Grace Dungu, go on. Grace, we are waiting for you. Okay, we can go to Susan Mamu. Yes, Susan. How are you? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe can you read the key? Then after the key error, any other? Mm-hmm. What you need to check? Mm-hmm. Make sure that you check. You see, let me. Where is it? Make sure that you see this resort 2, if you have mapped it correctly. What API have you used first? Okay. Make sure that is the correct https slash api dot github.com slash events. The same way, the same naming. But let me just copy this and you paste it. Yeah. So let me also paste the second one. You just copy paste. Maybe you have missed some small spellings. Just copy any or the first one, and then you try it with the uh, how do we get these APIs? I just googled these APIs. Just Google them, and actually, most of these APIs have not been googling. I've just been using this. You see this damn thing as an API, as a AI in it. For example, I can just type this. You see this? How I'm getting these random APIs. Then, for example, what if I change this? And then let's see if I have any autocomplete. Maybe let me just response 3 is equal to, as you can see, it's telling me to use anything random. GitHub, blah 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 blah. Maybe I can ignore that and maybe type enter. You can see GitHub just generating this random APIs from I don't know where, just using AI to give me suggestions to these APIs. And one last person before we create the CSS, Seth or Wino. Good evening, Seth. Mhm. Okay. Are you in the WhatsApp groups? The Python consultation group? Actually, I've been texting a lot in that group. You can just say anyone named JavaScript Daddy. You can, that's me. You can inbox me anytime. Okay. Okay. So we can do the last part because of time. You know, it's evening. We need to rest. We can give it around 7 minutes of concentration. So we're just going to go marathon. 7 minutes of concentration. So let's do this. We have to agree 7 minutes of concentration. I collapse this thing and I can't uncollapse it. Let me see. Yeah, yeah, we have it. So it should be actually 4 5 minutes of concentration. So let's do this. We want to style. We want to style this page. So we need to add our CSS files. Already, we have created our our CSS inside here, inside our static. Then remember, we went to settings and we have already registered our CSS static file over here. So we are done with the basic settings. So the next thing that we need to do, go to your HTML. Before you go to your HTML, maybe we can go to the styles. Maybe you can go to the styles.html, styles.css, sorry, and maybe style the body and give it a background of pink. Maybe we can play around with this color, maybe hot pink, and maybe we can style the image as well to have a width. How do we type width of 50 px, then height still of 50 pixels. Maybe we can add some more styles like border radius, border, is it radius of I like 999 like that, maybe something like that. So over here we have already styled, but as you can see, our app should be failing, should not be working. Let's see if it fails or it works. Um, yes, yes, David. I've not been sharing. Oh, wow. Maybe they kicked me out. Did you see how I created this? Okay. Um, hmm. First thing before we created this, we made sure that we created the CSS file. Then that CSS file, we registered it inside our settings. Can I get the settings? Maybe I can close this. We registered our CSS inside our settings like this, static files, directories is equal to this list. You just include it inside this list. David, you need to mute yourself. Okay. Hmm. So this is how we imported our directories or our static files. So we made sure that we have a base directory, then static. The static is the folder name, this static here. So let's go to our CSS and maybe style this image and maybe our body, our general body. So our general body, this is how we style it. Give it a background color, hot pink. Then style our image of 50, height of 50, maybe border radius of 999. And for this HTML and CSS, we have already covered more than enough HTML and CSS in your web development class. So I believe this should be easy on you. So let me try this out. It seems it's failing. Let me see where the problem is. I can stop. Now I can run it again. Let me see. Yeah, there we have it. But as you can see, our background is not styled yet. We have defined our colors over here. So what we need to do is actually the normal way that you link your CSS, we need to link it here. But because we are using Django, we need to make sure that we load our our CSS or we load our static files. So on top of here, in the first line of code, just open a curly braces with a double percentage. Then inside here, just type load static. Here we are loading all this static. We are loading the static folder. That's the first step. The second one is the normal way that you link your HTML. Here we write the rel is equal to, it should be style sheet. Then after here we type the hyper reference. Then here is where we are going to do the magic of importing these static files. Remember we have loaded these static files up here. So we need to do the same thing. Just use the curly braces. Then inside the curly brace, use the double again percentage. Then inside here is where, because we have already loaded our static, use the static, use static. Then inside our static, we want to grab exact thing. We want to grab styles.css. So just go to the static and grab styles.css. So this in layman's language can be defined as well as this. This one can be termed as this in a normal way. That should be static styles.css, like that. So that is the same thing that we are just interpreting it here. But because we are using Django, that's why we are using it the same way as this. We load static, then we use it like this one. So this one represents this, then this one represents this. So it's the same way. The problem is that, or the difference is that we are using Django. So let's comment this, maybe reload and see. Yeah, there we go. We have our pet, we have our background, we have our image of 50-50 and everything like that. We have like that. Let's see if it generates another random image. Yeah, we have another dog. You can just style this and change the styles and play around with these values. Just play around with these uh, values to get the size of this dog. Yeah, there we have our dog. There we have uh, our random freelancer or fire dancer. There we have it, and that's how we basically use style, use APIs, generate random things, generate random quotes. So we are going to provide this code. But in case you have written this and you'd like to push that to GitHub so that you submit, it's another simple thing. Just go here. You see where? You see here on your tools. On your tools, just go to your tools and open these tools. Then scroll down to Git. See this Git. See see this Git. Oh wow. Why is it not using the correct? You see this Git. I can just screen brush it. See this Git here. This Git is the one that you need to click. So just click on this Git. Oh wow. Is it not working, man? What have I done now? Oh yeah, I remember. So we need to click this Git. See this Git over here. Then click on initialize Git repository. Initialize Git repository like that. Then you see this notification, this here. Click on settings. Then we can leave the repository name as default. We can now create repository. See, create repository. Created a repository or repository created. Now you can collapse this. Now we need to push that code to GitHub. The best thing that we can do for us to get the best experience is actually refresh, I think so. Yes, David. Yeah, this one still works. Uh, in case you are not finding this button we have for push this to origin main. In case you are not getting this, just need to refresh and then, or you just need to go back to Git. Then it will able to now open the stage you are when it comes to the project. So I'm going to push that code to GitHub. Then I'm going to confirm. Then I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to wait and see. And then that code has been pushed to my GitHub account. David, you need to mute your microphone again. Okay. So just go to GitHub and check if that repo has been created, and you can see updated just now. And this is the code. Just go to there, then copy that code and share with us. I'm going to share that one with you. Actually, you can clone, you can fork, you can use it the way you want to use that repo. And that's it for our today's session. We want to save on time because I know it's evening. We need to rest. We need to do catch up with our family and everything. But before we leave, I still have an update for the hackathon. This is what we are going to build. Still, this project that we have built, go on top of that and then build something unique. I've given different examples. Maybe a movie, you want to watch a random movie, style that page, style everything for that movie, style that card, do whatever you want to do with it, then watch that random movie. Something else that you can do with a different API or a different thing that you can build on top of this that we have learned is I've said you can use the Amazon API. Then after using the Amazon API, you can scrap the content from there. Maybe when a user comes to your website, they see a different machine from whatever someone has seen, maybe a different electronic, they can purchase that. You can do all those things, man. So that's actually an idea that you can use with our or with this example. Can I start building a fresh API not to use these ones? You can build your own API in case you are able to build or you know that you are capable of building API. But for you to actually be added to the list of winners or people who are graded, you need to use an API. There's no way that you're not going to use an API, and maybe you add a very great project, but you have not been awarded as the winner because you have not used an API. Because still, again, we are taking the theme of making sure that you use API. So our main point: make use of API and maybe build something great. That's it for our today's session. But in case you have any question, I'm going to give it to two people. Raise your hand and maybe you ask a question. Daniel Kimathi. Good evening, Daniel. Dan. We have a very good cash. Yeah, I know we have a very good cash, but Susan should be the right person to mention about that. No, not for the winner only. We have different around 5 people to be awarded. Yeah. Okay, welcome. Someone on the chat saying will be web scrapping if time allows. Of course, we are going to build these projects. If time allows for us to use web scrapping, of course, we are going to do that. Can you use your own API? Of course, if you can be able to do that, then you can just use your own API. How do we submit the project? We shall share a form as usual where you are going to submit your project. So don't worry about that. We are going to share. So with that, because no one else has raised their hands, we are going to end there. So thank you guys for joining. I hope you have learned. I hope you have enjoyed. See you in the next session.